presentation on that. They kind of nailed them. So that's tomorrow. And after that, then I can go back to the book I'm working on Kid Atlas. So thank you very much. And any questions you have?
Do we know who is the book master behind Holy Father?
I do. It took me 2 years, a lot of biographies. He's dead now, of course, but he was a giant of a man in his time, and in fact, the UCLA gymnasium is named after him. Edward Polley, the Polley Pavilion. He's the puppet master, in my opinion.
He's interested in cause?
While he was in college, around 1919, he was working in the oil fields, and that's where I think he first met Chester Holyfield, because they were both working in the oil fields together. He was going on to college to get his scientific degree. Now, he's working in the oil fields because he's broke. By his junior year, he is buying an oil company. He got backers, and when it was all said and done, there are some people who do phenomenal research, but they're always looking at certain segments. What I learned about this was from Linda Miner. She had written an article, a 4-part series after Enron collapsed, called Follow the Yellow Brick Road from Enron to, sorry, it eluded me, but anyway. She says, if you're following someone, follow the money after they die. See where the assets go. And she was trying to find the guy behind the curtain. She was following a guy named Pudge, but she had run into in her research this Edward Polley, and I kept thinking to myself, oh, if I knew where you ran into the guy behind the curtain. It was him. When he died, and he owned a big island next to Hawaii, and presidents going there and all this other stuff. Bottom line is, when he died, all his assets slowly, eventually flowed back to England, the British Empire. So the British had been backing him. And he had the rights to Saudi Arabia oil in the United States. He was gigantic. He started Aramco, which was in Saudi Arabia. So he was very international, controlled a lot of oil and stuff in the United States. And one of the things I concluded is when the Anti-Sherman Trust Act of the 1880s and in 1913, the Supreme Court ruled that Rockefeller had to divest his 34 companies, sell off bits and pieces. What they don't know is a couple of years earlier, Churchill over in England had commented, they're going to reach their peak in 1922. That's when they control about a quarter of the universe as we know it. Churchill said, you have to control oil to sustain the empire. Either conquer it, or when opportunities come along to buy stock and so forth, to control it, do that too. I contend when the Sherman Antitrust Act was applied and Rockefeller had to divest through third parties like Edward Polley, England had come in and bought up a lot of it. So they have phenomenal influence on the oil industry. Roosevelt figured that out. He wanted to dismember the British Empire. He even told Churchill that when they were on a ship talking about funding some of the war, helping them out. He says, when we're done with this, I'm tearing down the British Empire. But I contend he learned, and I'm learning a lot of this through another great book, Pulitzer Prize book, The Prize. And there's a series on the internet on this, an 8-part series about what's going on. What was unknown is the strong influence the British had. And the bottom line is, Roosevelt knew if he could get the Galt technology up, the 30 years that Churchill had been building up all these oil supplies and everything up to control the monopoly, it would be destroyed if the Galt technology came to the surface. Not only the British, Saudi Arabia had, Polley is working with the Saudis. He has the oil fields there. When they were looking to nationalize, I contend, and that'll be in the book, that Polley threatened them because they knew about this Galt technology too. I mean, the Saudis drew him. If you don't buy us out, if you nationalize, we're all out because we won't stop the Galt technology. And there's a series of quid pro quos, thanks to this Linda Miner I discovered. Everyone thinks Aramco got nationalized. It looks like they got purchased for about, in today's dollars, about $1 trillion. And it occurred in stages that happened to coincide with some amazing coincidences, like Saudi Arabia bought 25% right after John Galt got fired. They bought another 35%, timing-wise, after Oak Ridge had been torn apart, after Oak Ridge thing disappeared, after everything got shut down in legislation. But there was still 40% left. And I'm watching each year, trying to follow the Sinus
All
Trail.
delivered.
And nothing happened for a series of years. And then 3 Mile Island occurred in 1979. And in 1980, Saudi Arabia paid the remaining 40%. So, just coincidences.
I don't believe them.
So, anyhow, anything else? Yes?
How's Weinberg's writing?
What's that?
Weinberg, how's his writing?
Oh, a phenomenal writer. I think that was a problem Ayn Rand had.
Okay.
Because you'll find with Alvin Weinberg, the Faustian dilemma, Smoking Rocks, he's got all these famous sayings and so forth, and he was tremendously articulate. Now, he was a physicist, he was a philosopher, and he had all that, but he also spoke 5 different languages, and had a mean backhand at tennis. He always regretted he didn't make the basketball team, high school team, but an amazing individual. It's one of those things, if John Galt had to be someone, this guy was just phenomenal. I also contend, though this can't be proven, when Ayn Rand first came to the States in 1926 through a Russian underground, going from Russia, she had to lie to the Russians to get in, she had to lie to the Americans to get in. It was her cousins who brought her in to Hyde Park, Chicago, where she stayed with the cousins for 6 months because she doesn't know English. She knows 3 or 4 languages, but she's got to learn English and write it and so forth. The bottom line is, this is a strange one. 20 years earlier, 1904, 1905, those same cousins helped bring in the 2 Russian people that were going to be Alvin Weinberg's parents. They're all in the same neighborhood. Ayn Rand is there when he is 11 years old. Now he's got an older sister, 5 years older. They're both brilliant. He's read the entire encyclopedia world book or whatever by the age of 7 or 8. And the thing is, he was 11, turning 12. In the same neighborhood, a Jewish flick, and they're in the same neighborhood. And there's a part in the book where you'll read where when the philosophy, Amstutz or whatever his name is, he says, John Galt disappeared when he was 12, then reappeared at age 16. I contend, Ayn Rand left Chicago as he was turning 12. And she yielded it. Now, the thing that happened, and there's letters where she writes back to Chicago when she's working on the atomic energy program, telling the neighborhood how she's working on it, and I contend it's because she knew Alvin, the cousins, they know the Weinbergs and so forth. But I had kept wondering last year, why didn't she ever contact him? But then in my research this year, realizing that if they had a pact between her and Optum, anyway, she can't contact anyone from that point on. She's probably the 2nd most intelligent woman on atomic energy, and I can't find anything anywhere where she's ever spoken of it again. And this is the reason why. So, and maybe it's all fabrication, and I am a brilliant writer, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yes.